Wisconsin, so born and raised in this area and very familiar with the region, as I know John is as well from being here as long as he has. So we're always willing to kind of point you in directions if you're looking for activities and things to do around here too. I am outside in my backyard right now. Hopefully my critters in the back won't be too noisy while we're outside, but nice to see all the faces. I'm hoping to get to know you all better soon.
So before we go to Leah, I'm going to go around, and if you want to just tell us what or Amethyst, what was your go-to movie?
My go-to movie as a kid or now?
Either one.
So I'm a pretty diehard Harry Potter fan, which you'll definitely learn to appreciate throughout some of my case examples in the program as well. So that's a big one. I want to say my favorite movie growing up was The Never-Ending Story.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. So I'm going to go around the people that are on my screen, and I'll just ask, and then you can go and let us know your movie. So Hannah Sullivan, you are the top left of my screen. So if you want to share your favorite movie.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, new headset, trying to work it out. Can't see it in the camera, but I'm a redhead. So one of my favorite movies as a kid, and probably still to this day, is The Little Mermaid, Disney's Little Mermaid. I saw the live action too, so I very, very deeply treasure that Disney movie.
I get it. Great. All right, Julia.
I'm a big fan of comedies, so Step Brothers or Bridesmaids are like my go-to.
Got it. And Elizabeth?
If I'm flipping through the channels, I cannot pass up Shawshank Redemption or Dead Poet Society.
Oh, that's two of my favorites as well. All right, Brianna.
I'm also a big comedy girl, and so I would have to choose for sure Girls Trip with Tiffany Haddish.
All right. Claire?
My go-to movie is Dirty Dancing.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Classic. All right, Madison?
This is kind of a new go-to movie, but I watched Top Gun Maverick like 15 times.
I love that movie. I was around for the original Top Gun, and I love that one, but I loved Maverick as well. So that was a great movie. All right, Emily?
I guess I would agree with Madison. I've been binge watching Top Gun Maverick so many times. So
yeah, I cannot blame you for that. All right, Grant?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, it's got to be The Great Outdoors with John Candy.
Yeah,
just a classic.
I like some of these classic ones coming up. That's great. Jacob Lane.
Yeah, I'd have to say Dumb and Dumber for sure.
another classic one. So that's great. All right, Carter.
I'd say Surf's Up, the animated film.
Oh, what? I don't know that one. What's it?
Oh, it's so good. It's Sony Pictures.
Okay.
With a Chicken Joe and Shia LaBeouf's in there.
Okay. All right. That's great. All right. Sarah Sagers.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge movie person, but I have a soft spot for Elf, like the Christmas holiday movie. Like I can never turn that one down.
The part where he goes up the escalator and does the splits, that cracks me up every time.
Yeah.
So, Isaac.
So I am also a big Harry Potter nerd. But apart from that, I'd probably have to say Tommy Boy is one I would definitely stop and watch.
Another John Candy, so yeah, classic. I'm a Hufflepuff, so that'll share that right now. Mercedes.
I'm a big Adam Sandler fan, so one of my go-tos is probably Grown Ups.
Okay, yep, that's great. All right, Ben Bartletti. I got to make sure I say that right.
You got it. I'm also gonna go with Isaacs of Tommy Boy.
All right, great. Julia.
Okay, hi. I had a copy Amethyst's idea and hop outside because it's actually a lot quieter out here than it is inside my house. But probably my go-to movie, I think I have to agree with Elizabeth with Shawshank Redemption, or I'm a big hockey fan, so Miracle has always been a comfort movie in our house.
I thought you were going to say Slapshot, but Miracle is also.
No, I was never allowed to watch that. So. Never got to see it. Maybe I should now.
Yeah. Brighton.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Top Gun Maverick might be the best movie I've ever seen, so I would go with that, or any of the Transformers movies. I'm a big fan of those too.
Okay, cool. So mine are obviously the Star Wars movies. I love the Harry Potter movies, though. I love the Lord of the Rings movies, and I love Top Gun. I mean, there's a lot of them, but. All right, well, let's dive into tonight's topic. So we're not necessarily going to repeat a lot of information, but we're going to go through some new information, and then we will have some time at the end for questions. Some of you emailed us after the first meeting, which was great, and we'll go ahead and go from there. So I'm going to introduce Leah Wigand. She is our health and wellness coordinator. So I'm just going to lay the stage. There are 4 very important people that if you get emails from, you need to answer them. One is Eric, one is me, one is Dr. Messer, and one is Leah. So if you get emails from the 4 of us, they're important and you need to watch those. And the reason that Leah and Amethyst's emails are so important is because they have to do with all the requirements that we need to meet in order to place you in clinical education sites. So obviously health and wellness is very important, not only for you as a student, but also for the people that you're going to be working with. So there are some requirements that we're going to need you to meet. And because our program allows for such early clinical education, you will be in the clinic in the 3rd or 4th week. We need to get on those requirements very early. And some of you may be in a situation where there are a couple even extra requirements, and that's based on the decision. So I'm going to turn it over to Leah. I'm going to share the screen, or I'm going to put my PowerPoint up and share the screen, and then you can take it away.
Sounds good. Nice to see you all. I know that I've talked to some of you via email already, so thank you for reaching out with questions that you've had about health requirements. So the first thing I'll talk about is, just in case you hear my dog whining, she's right behind me. So she's very super needy, and sometimes she just needs all the attention. So if you hear her, I'm sorry. She's already been whining through everybody's movie topics here. So anyway, so Viewpoint is going to be your first go-to thing for me. Have you all gotten information about how to open your Viewpoint accounts? If you have not, okay, I'm seeing a lot of nodding, so hopefully I'm seeing everybody. So if you have not gotten your Viewpoint information, please send me an email, and I will make sure that that gets to you as soon as possible. So 2 due dates to keep in mind. Your first one is going to be your first day of classes. We want your Viewpoint account open. Now for you guys, it's a little bit different just because you start your clinical experience so early. So I would recommend opening it as soon as possible. So I will just say that just because it's going to be easier for you if you run into any snags or any questions about any of the requirements. I'd hate for you to be like to the week of and be like, great, I didn't know I needed that. It's super helpful. So I would open that as soon as you can. Once you have your accounts open, if you haven't done so already, you'll be able to see all of the requirements that you're going to need. So you can either, Emily's email is on there too. She's the one who sends the welcome email. She usually sends it in my behalf, but sometimes it'll come like it looks, or it looks like it comes from her. So go ahead and, search if you didn't see your Viewpoint account information. So in that email that she sends you kind of gives you a brief description of everything that you need to go through to open your account. The cost of the account, which I will share with you if you haven't opened it already, is $105. What that does buy you is your health portal, which is where you're going to log all the information about your immunization records, also your CPR certification and your TB skin testing. So those are the things that you're going to have in there. And then you would also get a background check run off of the information that you give them. They will have you fill out an application form right away. So they run your background check, which is a nationwide background check and a caregiver one. and then you will get your assignment for drug testing. So that's all included in the $105. There's no extra cost after you pay for that. And then once you do the drug testing, you do not have to worry about results and reporting them. They get sent right back to your Viewpoint account automatically. They work with a certain brand of lab that they're called Quest Labs, and they will just assign you basically to the closest one of whatever you put your zip code in for the address associated with your account. They'll send you to the closest one. So you don't have to worry about anything at that point. Same with the background check. Everything just gets bounced right back to me. I will point out in the health portal, there's something called the background check acknowledgement. A lot of people confuse that with the background check and they want to upload their background check results. If you click in that little section, if you've already done this, you know exactly what I mean. But if you click in the that requirement, the background check acknowledgement, there'll be a form that you have to download and sign. It's just simply one sentence. So I want to point that out because I don't think it's on my PowerPoint here, John. Sorry to confuse you there, but I just want to make sure that that one you guys are aware of so you get the right thing. Otherwise, it'll come back rejected and people get confused. So I wanted to point that out. So a couple other reminders, COVID-19. I'm sure you've probably heard of a lot of changes happening right now as far as the mandate goes, like from the government level down. We at the college are still requiring the COVID-19 vaccine at this time. The reason for that is because all of the clinical partners that we use have not come on board with not making it mandatory as of yet. So until we have the go ahead from every single agency that we work with, saying that they no longer require the COVID vaccine to be mandatory, we have to proceed with the either getting you vaccinated or having a approved exemption on file. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're declining the vaccine, that's still okay. You can just reach out to me and I will make sure you get all the information you need as far as filing an exemption, but it does need to be one or the other. So I was hoping that was going to change. I had my fingers crossed for this fall, but I think we are waiting on exactly 2 agencies out of about 10. So we're almost there. So that's the good news about that.
What are you going to do, Leah, when that requirement is lifted? Like,
oh my gosh, John, I think I'm going to have like, free time. No, I'm kidding. We'll have some new initiative, I'm sure. So, yeah. And that's, I will ask that you do that, sooner than later. We have a committee that meets right on the college campus. So if the sooner we have that, the better, because we only meet about once a month as needed. So if we don't have any for that month, we won't meet, but we don't really usually meet any more than once a month. So if you need the exemption, reach out to me right away. You can email me directly and then I will get you the paperwork that you need. I will say that the medical exemption is very difficult to obtain. You need to have a documented allergy to one or more of the vaccines doses, the actual COVID vaccine dose, or you have to have a documented, like with medical documentation, issue with some of the ingredients, one or more of the ingredients with all of the vaccines. So let's say you were allergic to something in Pfizer that's not in Novavax, they will request that you get Novavax instead, and they will not approve your exemption. So I will say that one's quite difficult. So I want to throw that out there just in case anybody, there's just those 2 things. Now, those guidelines are not ours. They're run by the CMS guidelines. So it's a little bit different. Our hands are very tied. We have to do exactly what they say or they don't like us very much. So the religious one is a little bit more liberal. So just because, a lot of people have a religious objection of one reason or another, there definitely are benchmarks that we need to see in that, but nobody has missed that at all. So if you have any questions about how to guide yourself on, writing a religious exemption, honestly, I just encourage you to look online and see what you can find as far as just a little bit of guidance. Of course, I would encourage you not to plagiarize or copy anything that's on there, but I do still want to know from you guys what your exemption reasons are. So, and then the temporary referral or deferral is usually just because of pregnancy. So we do allow you to defer the vaccine until you deliver, and then you get 5 weeks to either file for a new exemption or to get the vaccine at that point. So if anybody has questions about that, feel free to raise your hand, ask now, or if you want to just email me privately, perfectly happy to have that conversation either on the phone or via email too. So, and I am on campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I'm more than happy to meet with anybody in person too with anything regarding what I do. So if you prefer a one-on-one appointment or you're just having difficulty getting stuff uploaded to Viewpoint, I'm happy to meet with you guys whenever you're available. So flu vaccine, it is Also another one that is mandatory. So with that one, we don't require you to have it until flu season. So this will not affect your clinical when you guys start in September. You will just wait until the flu season starts. So usually we start vaccinating for that around the very beginning part of October. So it just the deadline usually for us is that we have you get it by December 1st. So you shouldn't have to worry about that before clinical. So you guys will be okay if that one's left blank in your viewpoint account for now until the flu season comes. And again, if you decide that you don't want to get the flu vaccine, you do need to file for an exemption for that as well. So we follow the Bell and Health guidelines on that one. So they just came forward and said that this year they're going to be following the exemption process again for flu vaccine. Last year was the first year they did that versus signing just a declination saying that you're not going to get it. But now they want the exemption process, and it's exactly the same as it is for COVID. So it's either medical or religious, or if you're temporarily deferring for pregnancy. So same exact situation. And again, if you need that, just watch your emails for when the flu clinics are starting. You don't have to email me for that one right away. When you start getting emails from the college saying get into a flu clinic and you say, hey, I'm not going to do that because I want to, defer, or you want to decline, just reach out to me at that point and I'll get you the exemption information. So otherwise, we try to make sure that we do have flu clinics available on both campuses. You guys will primarily be at the Van Asten campus on Development Drive. And I will say most of the flu clinics we do schedule on campus at the Rush campus on Eaton Road, but I'm very flexible also. So if there's a day that I know that you guys are going to be on campus, I'll just come over there and even just do a private one for you guys. So I think that's what we ended up doing last year, wasn't it, John? I think we ended up having just like a handful of your students that came for the Rush campus one, and then we got everybody else on Development Drive. So yeah, I'm pretty flexible with that. So if you can't make it to one, let me know and we'll kind of compile the data we have with how many people need it over there, and we'll work it out. So we're going to try to keep it a little bit more even this year is my thought, because we do have more students over at Development Drive compared to what we did last year during the flu season. So CPR. That has changed recently. So the CPR that we used to do was to send you to the typical class that you do, the 4 hours, you're certified for 2 years. We have RQI now. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that. If you work in healthcare and you have to have your CPR certification, you might be familiar with it. But what it is that there's 2 sections, essentially. You have to do an online portion and you have to do the skills portion. So the online portion, everything you access right from the college. So you don't have to go anywhere extra to get it. You don't have to worry about scheduling your CPR before we let you know when you have to sign up. So, and then there's stations at the both campuses. I think is there just one, John, at Development Drive?
There's one.
Yeah, at Development. Okay, and then there's 2 at the Rush campus. So, and what they are is you do the online portion on your own time, which is fine. And then you go do the skills portion at these little kiosks, they're called. So you have like a mannequin dummy that you practice your compressions and your breathing, and that measures how you're doing them. So, and then it'll tell you if you pass or fail, which is, and then you can try it again if you fail and need to try it again. So the beauty of it is that it does actually prompt you to recertify every quarter. So like every 3 months. It'll let you know that you're due for renewal. Now, that is not mandatory to do it every 3 months, but if you do, your 2-year certification will bump out from the time you do that. So let's say you do it in January, you do it again in, whatever the next quarter is. I think April is what it'll give you through, I think that first one is 4 months. Through April, you do it again in April, it'll say that you're good until April 2 years down the line. If you do it again in July, it'll kick it to July 2 years down the line. So it's kind of nice. It bumps you out 2 years from the latest renewal. So if you miss one, it's no big deal. You can just pick up where you left off and it'll bump that 2 years out again. So the idea behind it is that you're practicing your compressions more often so that you're going to give more effective CPR if needed. So, and it's just a lot less time. I will tell you that a couple of the staff in the HSRC lab on the Rush campus have done it, and it's like, I think even after you've done it once or twice, that it lets you put in your comfort level or what you think your level of being able to provide quality CPR is. And then it tells you, like, you can kind of test out of it too. So some people it took 15 minutes, some people it took a full half hour, 45 minutes. So, but either way, tops, it's looking like it's going to be like an hour and a half total instead of the 4-hour class. So it's going to save you guys time and make you better CPR providers. So that's cool. So that way we will let you know when you are populated into the system. You might be already, I have to double check on that. Ann Wasman is going to be the one that is populating that into the clinical compliance course on Canvas. So it'll let you know when you are populated into the system and able to do it. So we pay like for a certain amount of seats. It's basically how it is. So we put the students in when it becomes necessary for them to do it. You guys need it for clinical, so it will be sometime before your clinical starts in September. So keep an eye on that in the month of August. So, and then you just come to either of the campuses and you can work on any of the kiosks that are convenient for you kind of on your own time too. So that's the nice part. Just know that if you come and it's occupied, you'll have to wait, until someone's done. So
yeah, so you
go ahead,
should
Jen.
watch your email. You're going to get that before class starts, and you can complete the online portion before class starts. Last time Ann showed you that clinical compliance class, that's where the CPR module will live, is in that. So complete your online. Then once you're on campus, you can test out. We'll show you where it is. It's in a study room on the second floor, and you can test out. And I think it'll go real smooth. So
yeah, I'm hoping so. It's going to be a really nice program. I think it's going to be so much more convenient for you guys is the main thing. So, and if you have any questions about it, you can reach out to me. Certainly, if I don't know the answer, I will find it for you. And like I said, there's a couple people that have wanted to do it, as staff members too, because we know, if there's issues, we wanted a couple of us trained and ready to rock and roll on it so that we can help you guys if there are any issues. So,
and if you are CPR certified, we do ask that you get certified again, so that all of you are on the same system. You're all on the same timeline, I guess, and we all can kind of keep together, and we're not kind of tracking all that. So we'll ask all of you to at least recertify at the beginning of the semester.
Yeah. The only other thing, was there anything on here about TB skin testing? Was there a slide for that, Jen?
No.
Okay. So I will talk about TB skin testing for a little bit. If you guys still have that requirement that you need to do, we do offer 2-step TB skin testing on campus. So we can get you guys taken care of that way. What we're going to be doing is having the Bell and Screen team. So they're the ones that kind of run the clinics, usually too, even for flu vaccines, if you work at any of the hospitals or anything. They're going to come in a couple days in the beginning of the semester. I have to ask Bonnie on those specific dates, but those will be going out via email as well. We'll have some at the Rush campus. We will have some at the Development Drive campus. So if there becomes an issue scheduling with work or classes, we're going to try to schedule it around when you have classes. So we're going to, like, if we have somebody there, we're going to have them for a whole block of time in the morning or a whole block of time in the afternoon. So whenever you have a break or something, you can go over and do it. But John and Amethyst, I believe, are both registered readers now. So they can read your test for you. So if you're not familiar with TB skin testing, what that does is the 2-step is 1 injection. 48 to 72 hours later, you have to have that test read or interpreted as positive or negative, which John and Amethyst can do for you. Or we have multiple people at the Rush campus too, if that's more convenient. And then you have to, 1 week later, after the first test was administered, get a second test and have that one read. 48 to 72 hours after it was administered. So some people think the 2-step is having the 1 injection and then having it read. It's actually, if you want to count it that way, it's actually a 4-step. So you have 4 steps you have to complete: injection, reading. So it's a 2-week long process. So don't wait till the last minute to do it either. So I will caution you on that. Otherwise, you'll be stuck with the only option is getting the blood test, which if you've had that in the last year, which is the QuantiFERON Gold or the T-Spot, that's completely fine. That we will accept that as long as it's within the last 12 months. You can just upload that to your Viewpoint account as proof. The results that need to get uploaded. And then you would just be required to either do that yearly or get a yearly TB skin test for a renewal. The only time you ever have to do a 2-step is right in the beginning, your very first one with us. So you won't have to do the 2-step again unless your clinical site for some reason would require it. So we won't ever ask you to do that again. So the blood test is good. If you've ever tested positive with the TB skin test, I would encourage you to do the blood test right away, because chances are if you've ever tested positive with one, you will continue to test positive. Unless it was for some reason a false positive. So yeah, that's kind of the spiel on that. Watch for your emails on scheduling. And if somebody has a conflict, let me know. I am on campus Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'm usually pretty flexible. So if we need to work out a different time, let me know. But if you can try to make one of those clinics, that would be best. Just because we have everything set up for you that way. And then you'd be on the same schedule, as readings, and we'd have readers there available for you and all that good stuff. So yeah, reach out to me anytime if you guys have questions. Sorry about the email here. or the phone. That's an old phone number too. You can scrap that one. Just call if you call the main number at the campus, and they'll get you through to my now that we have internet calling, I don't have the cell phone anymore. So, oh, and my hours changed too. Wow, this slide is really bad. Sorry, John.
And I did send you this to review, so.
You did, yeah. Emily said she was looking at it for me and she was going to send it back to you, but I guess I don't mean to throw her under the bus, but yeah, I should have told her about that. But anyway, so Tuesdays and Thursdays, the only reason we changed it is because TBs are just more convenient to do on Tuesdays, and I'm doing a lot of them right now. So we changed my schedule to Tuesday. I promise my email is the same, so that's good. Otherwise, yeah, my phone number is just call the main number and they'll transfer you, and it rings right directly to my personal cell phone now too through the Teams app. So any questions for me that I can help with now?
Actually, I had a question for you. So you said for the TB test, if I got a quantiferon, that I can think that would be acceptable?
Yep, okay. That's perfectly fine as long as it's within the last 12 months. So
yeah, because I go in for work, so I was hoping I could just use that anyways.
Yep, or if I should say too, if you've had the 2-step TB test for work, that also works as long as you can get documentation to me. So as long as it's within the last 12 months and you can get documentation uploaded into your Viewpoint account, totally fine. So nothing says we have to do it as long as we can prove that you've had a -1 in the last year. So, and if you've already gone elsewhere, I know if you were accepted to your program like early on, we were kind of doing the switch over to doing them on campus around that time too. So you may have gotten information about going to the Bellin occupational health site, Concentra. So if you went there already, that's fine too. Just let me know if you've gone to Concentra, send me an email, let me know, because they upload the results to a portal that I have to access. So I can access that and get you guys your results so you can upload them to Viewpoint. So just let me know if you did the Concentra route and I can get you set up. If it's been more than a week in between 2 tests too, like let's say you had one for work like back in February, there's no like set amount of time that you have to have your second one within. It has to be at least a week out. It can be a week and 11 months. So as long as it's 2 tests within the year, that's considered a 2-step. So if you've already had one and you just need to get a second one within a 12-month period, that's totally fine too. We can work with that as well. So if you have any questions about it, just send me an email and I can troubleshoot most things. So anyone else?
I had a question about the physical form. How like recent does our physical need to be? Because I guess I don't know if anyone else has had the issues with like insurance and I can't get a physical anytime soon, yada yada yada, all the fun stuff.
Great question, actually. So if you've had a physical within the last year, most doctors are going to be willing to fill out that form based on that physical. So if you ask your family doctor, whoever it is that did your physical, if they could fill that out based on the one you've already had, usually they're good doing that if it's been within the last 12 months. Now I'm going to try to see how this would work. So if you have to wait, we need to have it on file before you go to clinical is the main thing. So if you need to wait for some reason because of insurance, let me know. And we'll see like how we can get you in that time period. I do know also that Concentra will do those. I want to say that they charge you $63 and they do ask you to pay cash for that. So if there was one reason that we had to do it, one reason or another, if we had to get you a second one, I think the worst the damage would be is $63, which is not ideal, but you know, if it had to be for one reason or another. Usually we have a little bit more time between when you guys start and clinical with some of the other programs, so we can push it off for a little while if we need to, but as long as we have it before clinical, we're generally pretty good to go. So, but yeah, ask your doctor. Usually they're pretty, and even tell them like, look, I have to have it for this. Are you sure you can't? Sometimes if you ask them nicely, they're good.
Yeah, this is one of the complicating factors of having early clinicals is that we have a lot of time to capture all this, and there is a lot of requirements and we appreciate that. But if any of you work in healthcare, these are the same requirements for you to work at really most health systems that you have to go same exact procedures. So.
And I will say too that the Viewpoint account, once you pay for it and have everything uploaded, it is yours forever. So when you go on to get jobs, you know, when you graduate, you can use all of that information that you already have on file. It's all in one place, super easy. I will throw this out there too, that if you need help accessing your immunization records, if any of you have had all of your immunizations in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Immunization Registry, WIR, we always refer to it as the WIR, super helpful resource. All you need to do is put your name, date of birth, social security number in there. If you go to the public access record access, let's try that the other way. Public record access is what it's called. You can click on that and put your information and you should be able to get it. If you can't access it and you're comfortable sharing your social security number with me, you can send it to me in an email and I can get you the record. So if you have trouble with that, let me know and I can see what I can do on my end and just email it to you. So it doesn't save any of your information when I put it in either. I will say that if you have to put your social in, it won't save it on my computer or in the system. It's just to cross check that you are who I say you are. Basically, when you're putting the information in, they need the 2 identifiers, the date of birth and social security number, and then they can match that with what's in their system. So, which was put in by probably your pediatricians when you first started getting immunization. So it should have everything in there. It's a Wisconsin mandated law now that everything gets recorded in there from every doctor's facility. So most actually medical records will interface with that system and send them automatically over there. So it's a very accurate record too, which is really nice. So if anybody needs help accessing, just let me know. I can see what I can do for you.
All right. Any other questions for Leah? All right. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes.
If anything comes up from our end, I will let you know.
Please do. I'm available. Like I said, I'm only part-time. I'm Mondays and Thursdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I'm available by phone like 90% of the time. So I'm pretty flexible. If you guys call me, don't worry about only sticking to Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, all right, very good. Have a good night, you guys. Enjoy. Bye.
So now we're going to move to Dr. Amethyst Messer, who is going to give you a rundown on clinical education experiences. So.
Yes, so the clinical education component of the curriculum is a pretty important one. It's necessary for you to graduate, and we've got some mandated number of hours that you need to complete for that to happen. So part of what we've been talking about with Leah is all of these health requirements to get you started out on those part-time ICE experiences. So ICE is an abbreviation for a whole bunch of different things that you can find, but we use it to stand for Integrated Clinical Experiences, meaning they're kind of within your other coursework early on in the program. So it's one of the novel aspects of our program that we hope is part of why you were excited to come and be with us here at Bellin College. So I have things organized that you get out into the clinic to start working on your skills and building some confidence and applying what you're learning in the classroom by week 3 that you start the program. Now you're not ready to go right in there and evaluate a patient by yourself at week 3, right? So it starts with some easy skill building things like measuring blood pressure, wiping down tables, and appreciating how important infection prevention and overall protection of our patients is. So I've got kind of a gradated exposure for you throughout the curriculum, but you will have these ICE experiences throughout the first 3 semesters of the program. So your first fall, spring, and summer semester. Each of those terms includes a number of touches in an outpatient clinic, a simulation activity, which kind of helps get you ready for more inpatient-based experiences. Our faculty has also taken over running a community-led exercise program through the YMCA with people that have Parkinson's disease. So each of those 3 semesters, you will come out there and start working on some exercise and group activities with that clientele. And then we have some other specialized things kind of scattered throughout the different semesters. So we have another inpatient kind of experience where you start in an inpatient rehab setting one semester, then you see acute care the next semester, and then you see skilled nursing facilities the semester after that. So some associated assignments, really just kind of getting you prepared, and we're hoping that's going to make you much more confident to get out there for that first full-time experience. So after the first year of ICE, then you start getting into your full-time clinical experiences. And again, we have 3 of those in our program. So you'll have a 6-week experience in the fall of your 2nd year, and it's at the end half of that fall semester. Then you're back for some classwork in the spring. Then you go out for your 2nd clinical in your summer of your 2nd year. Then you come back again for your 3rd fall, and then you finish up in the clinic and feel like you're ready to rock it. So that's kind of the clinical plan that we have. For those full-time experiences, you do need to accumulate some inpatient and some outpatient hours. That does not mean that an entire clinical rotation has to be all inpatient or all outpatient. We have a number of sites that you can kind of do a split or do some mixture of both in there. But want you to be aware on the front end as we're planning things and you're starting to select them that you will need to have some of both of those buckets filled. Questions on that before we move on? All right, next slide. Good. So just kind of orienting you to the number of different people that are involved with clinical education. So I being one of the primary ones who helps reach out to all of those clinical sites and secure the placements. I will meet with each of you to have an idea of what you're looking for. If you're trying to go out of state somewhere, we work together on finding those placements. But you also have a number of other people in those roles. So faculty-wise, you will each have your advisor or coach that knows you pretty well and might help guide you on some experiences that are interesting for you. And then you guys can work with me on finding a spot. Our core faculty all play a role because you need to pass all of your classes in order to go to clinical. So we make sure everybody's involved in knowing that people are progressing through the program appropriately. We have our clinical lab faculty, meaning our ICE instructors. So those people in the part-time experiences that you're meeting kind of give us those initial passes like, hey, yeah, they're showing some good growth. They're getting it. They're learning. They're working really hard. So they give us feedback on that. And then when you're on your clinical, your full-time placements, you'll have the site coordinator and the clinical instructors there that are responsible for letting us know how you're doing along those experiences. So we do need to share some of your information with those clinical sites. We don't pass your exact grades on. We don't give exact, reports on, oh, this person really struggles with X, Y, and Z. But we need to be the ones that if we're sending you out, that we've checked our boxes to say you've met the requirements and we're reasonably confident that you're ready to be there. So lots of shared decision making in that process. In terms of your responsibilities, so being very much aware of HIPAA, which is that Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, meaning you must always maintain privacy regarding the people that you are seeing and working with. You will get some added training on this, particularly through that clinical compliance course. You'll have a little module to do on that and sign off. Want you to recognize upfront that patients or their family always have a right to refuse treatment by student physical therapists. I'll be honest, it's usually a pretty rare occurrence, but it does happen, and I don't want your feelings to get hurt if it is the case, so we just prepare you for that upfront. And then always making sure that we're aware of both patient safety, but your safety as well. So exposure to hazardous materials, communicable disease training like bloodborne pathogens, risks of injury. So again, we've got some modules or some training that we'll expect you to go through. They're short, pretty easy to check off and watch. Okay, questions?
Yeah, I actually just have one. So
Sure.
it looks like this slide is kind of covering it, but
Okay.
there's a couple PTs that I have worked with that work at different sites to where I work as a PTA that have offered to be my clinical instructor.
Yes.
So
Yep.
there's one in a skilled nursing and there's one in an outpatient setting. So if could I like give you that information and you could like scout them out?
Yeah, so what we will do is last year I collected this conflict of interest form, which is the next bullet on there, from students before you even came to campus. I will end up meeting with you guys as a class the first week before you end up going out on your ICE experiences. So I have a form that we'll have you each fill out then, and it guides you through who do you need to let me know about. And so necessarily an absolute no, you can't go somewhere, but we want to know where have you had past employment or contingency offers, whether you have direct family members, meaning parents, siblings that work in healthcare as PTs. So we just need to know about that during our placement process. So every one of you will end up filling out a conflict of interest form for me during that first week that we meet.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. Yeah. Then in looking down at the next two bullets regarding placement, so for your part-time integrated clinical experiences, you will be grouped into a small group of 2 or 3 students, and I make those groupings. So you don't really have any designated input into that. They're all local to the Green Bay area, so we don't have anybody traveling more than, I believe, 45 minutes for any of those sites to do their ice experiences, and most are much closer than that 45-minute drive from Green Bay, but we've got a couple of rural clinics that you'll need to commute to. So that's something that's managed completely in-house. I do try to change up the group pairings and your sites each of those 3 semesters so that you'll kind of work with different classmates for that. When we talk about the placement for full-time experiences, placement in physical therapy world runs over a year in advance. So, as an example, back in March of this last year, I had to reach out to our clinical sites and request placements for the calendar year 2024. Your first rotation will be fall of 24. I don't know all of you yet, right? We haven't met. So I've got some demographic information on, oh, where's your hometown and that sort of information. But I just kind of reach out and we see what we get. And those are the placements we have for that first fall rotation. You will get a chance to know what those sites are and to tell me your preferences. You actually get to put them in a computer program, rank your top 10 sites that we have available that you want to go to, and then I can push a button on the computer that does a lovely algorithm to place people as fairly and equitably as possible. So that's the process that I utilize to have everybody spot. Now, I currently have more sites available than there are students in your class. So ideally, every one of you will have a site that's relatively high up on your preference list. Moving into those other 2 rotations that happen that summer and that final spring, where you'll have more time to meet with me on one-on-one and give me exact preferences on, hey, I really want to do peds. Okay, great. I have an application for you, but then I can reach out to my pediatric sites to get you approved. Or, hey, I really want to go to Scottsdale, Arizona. Okay, reaching out to our fellows and our DSC students and our other connections. Who do we have in Scottsdale, Arizona? And we find a placement. So there's a couple of processes that we can go through for that. All of my placement processes are outlined in the clinical education handbook, which is what's the picture of the cover of it there. So that is last year's handbook. We do have an update that we'll be going through prior to your start date. There are minor changes that have been made in that one. The overall clinical placement policies are very, very similar. So you're welcome. It's an open book on how I do my placements. And any other specific requests you have, you can feel free to ask me. Housing, travel considerations. So I mentioned for your ICE, we try to keep them pretty close, but there's a little bit of commute required for that. You should expect for the full-time placements, you will likely need to travel outside of the Green Bay area for 1 or more of those rotations. And that's an added cost that's pretty expected of any physical therapy program. So both from a rental, whether you find a sublease or you do an Airbnb or you've got a family member to be able to move with, I do have you guys also let me know where you have potential housing availabilities for cheap or free so we can work through that process. But I do want to be upfront that it's anticipated that there are some additional costs to students regarding your housing or car expenses for some clinical rotations. Questions on that? No? Okay. I think I got one more slide in there, John.
Yeah, it's not letting me advance. Come on. There we go.
All right. So just a couple of things to be aware of. Again, these are all within that clinical education manual that you can feel free to read. But that determination of student readiness for your first full-time clinical placement, that's when we as the academic coaches, core faculty, myself, we do all have a meeting that we kind of discuss, were there any concerns regarding your academic performance or preparation up to that point, how things are going from a professional development standpoint, how were you doing on your skills check? And we all kind of do a 3-step process. If your coach says, yep, this person's ready, core faculty, yep, and then I give the final approval, yep, this person can go. So it's just that last kind of safety check, but we do have that communication with each other. clinical dress code. So starting even with your part-time ICE experiences, you are expected to have a particular color of pants and a specific polo shirt that you're wearing. So the polos are being provided through us. Are they going to receive those at orientation, John?
Yes, they're already,
Perfect.
I already have received them. So
Okay. So you'll have your one polo through us, and then pants, you do need full length pants that are black or gray in color to be wearing at clinicals. They should not be jeans material. I guess before I move on beyond that, any questions about just the polo shirt and the gray or black slacks? Nope. Okay. There are other.
Wait, my microphone didn't work. Can they be a scrub pant?
They can in the inpatient settings, not necessarily in our outpatient clinics. So what I would recommend is just when we meet for that first week, if there's any questions about, a particular pair of pants that you have, bring them along. I'm happy to look at them and we can take a peek.
Okay.
All right. Clinical attendance guidelines, again, those are sketched out for you, but for both the part-time and the full-time experiences, you are expected to be there as scheduled and early if possible. 5-10 minutes early is being on time. So walking into your clinicals, whether it's that third week of the class or it's your last full-time experience, if you are showing up 10-15 minutes late, your clinical coordinator, your site person, your CI is likely to reflect poorly on that. So get in the habit of being on time. Obviously, if there's illness, you would be communicating that, and there's excused absences versus unexcused. So we will review that attendance policy much more in detail when we meet the first week of class about clinicals. All right. Anything else?
And I do have Dr. Mester's contact information available at the end of the presentation too. So if you want to reach out to her specifically, you can.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we're gonna continue on there. Most of the information now will be fairly quick, but make sure that you let me know if you have any questions. So as a student at Bellin College, you do have access to a program called Student Life. And there are several ways to access the program. You can see those on the left. You can get there through their website, through our website, by texting or calling. This is a lifeline for you if you're struggling mental health wise, or you have family concerns, any substance abuse issues. Other things, though, they can help you out with a lot of different things, financial and legal consultation. Even if you, like it says on there, even if you need to find a pet sitter in the area, they will help do some of that work for you. There's a lot of things they can do. Think of it as like your personal assistant. I will tell you, this gets underused, but it can do a lot of stuff for you, and that is available for you right now as a student at Bellin College. So. All right. There are also some wellness or fitness opportunities available for you. We have a wellness center at the Resch campus on Eaton Road. Now, you will mostly be at the Van Aston campus on Development Drive, and we're actually in the process right now of using some of our equipment that we have in our physical therapy department, and also opening that up for the rest of the college to be able to come in. So, but bottom line is, you can come in during your time away from classes, and as long as there isn't another class in there, you can use our elliptical, you can use our bike, you can use our treadmill, you can use the weights, you can work out. So we also have a really great opportunity at the YMCA. They will share that with you on your first orientation, and you're going to get a chance to go out to the YMCA. I can't remember the price off the top of my head, but it's very cheap. It's like $5-10 a month. I think it's like $5 a month. So it's a really great deal. We have several students that are working at the YMCA right now. And then there is one Bellin Fitness Center. Last year when I created the slide, there were two, and there is some availability. Unfortunately, they do not give us a discount of working out, but there is that opportunity. I'm going to go through some really quick policies with you. So you can see to the right your grading scale. You do need to pass every course with a C or 77% or higher. We do not round grades. So if you get a 76.99, you are technically not passing that class. We will do everything in our power for you to pass each and every class. And so, you know, just to be upfront, there are some tests that some of you may be familiar with, practicals, where it's like a skills test. Those you need to get above a 77%. You need to pass each and every one of those practical exams. But for a regular class, your overall grade needs to be 77%. So if you do falter on one test, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We'll work with you, and as long as your overall grade is 77%. You do have a lot of academic support available. There is no real hierarchy, but the first thing, if you're struggling with a class, talk to the faculty member. We are all open. We are all committed to helping you succeed. I'm very confident that the current class will tell you that we truly live by that motto of trying to support you all and being successful. So your first aspect is go to the faculty member that is teaching the class that you may be having some struggles with. The next level is you can also work with your academic coach. I talked about this last time. Each of you will be assigned an academic coach. It may be me, it may be Dr. Messer, maybe Dr. Chaconis, or one of our other core faculty. We'll be meeting with you at least every semester, and that's another aspect. Now, if you've gone to the faculty member, you've gone to your coach, and your needs are still not being met, that's when you can either come to me as the assistant program director or Dr. Chaconis as the program director, and we will listen to you. Also at Bellin College, we have a student success center. We've talked about that a little bit last time. They are dedicated, they provide programming, and they can provide counseling and tutoring to help you. One of the aspects, which I think is in a slide later, is the GPAS class, which you should all have access to right now in Canvas. The GPAS class is for graduate students like yourself. It's to help you prepare for graduate work, and it's set up for you to be successful. And you can go in, and you do not need to do the class from beginning to end. You can go in and pick the topic you're interested in. So it's like a la carte. So you want to know about time management, you can hit the time management module. There's like a 5 or 6 minute video. It gives you some great tips. If you want to learn about test taking skills, you can go ahead and click that module. And if you want more information, Bridget in the Student Success Center is one of my favorite people. She will be more than happy to help you in that regard. So there's lots of options. And if you ever need help navigating what's best, always go to your faculty member and then work with your academic coach as well. And you'll find out who your academic coach is on your orientation day. So attendance is mandatory for clinical or lab. If circumstances arise that you are going to miss, let us know as soon as possible. If you do not show up for a class and we don't know for a clinical or lab, you need to let us know immediately. For a class, you know, we occasionally do make we've made some accommodations where we may let you attend from home, or we may record the video, but that's up to each individual faculty member. And that has to do, I'll flip to the bottom of the slide there. If you are going to miss an exam, or there's something going on, you know, your brother is getting married on the day of an exam, we can make accommodations, but we need to know that before the test. Do not wait till the day of the test to let us know that. There is a late assignment policy. Again, if you send something in late, you're going to get docked 4%, 2 days 8%, 3 days 16%. If it's more than 4 days, you still have to complete the assignment. You need to complete every assignment in order to pass the class, but you will not get any points assigned for that. So again, just going through all this, I know you're all going to forget it, but it's all in the handbook as well. So I just want to point it out for you. We do in the handbook have a non-discrimination and anti-harassment policy. It's very important. It's very it's connected to Title IX, which you may have heard about, but that's really important. If you feel that for any reason, and I hope and pray that you don't, but if for any reason you feel that you've been experiencing discrimination or harassment, there is a whole policy. Please let your faculty members know that. We take that very seriously, and we have a whole process for that to manage those types of situations. And we also have a complaint and grievance procedure that also is outlined in the handbook. So again, go to your faculty member. You can come to Eric and I. You can go above us to our dean or our president of our college. And also we do provide contact information for CAPTE, which is our accrediting body. If you feel that the grievance is serious enough, you do have the right to let them know about that grievance, our accrediting body. Now, we hope that it never comes to that. We hope that you come and talk to us about any issues that you're having. And like I said, I hope we never have to talk about this outside of tonight's meeting, but I just want to let you know that you do have that right, and that policy is available in the handbook. In the handbook also, we have emergency procedures. Basically, if anything happens to you on campus, in a lab, on clinicals, let your faculty, let your clinical instructor know. We will make sure that you get the proper care that you need to receive. And then, of course, there's always maybe some paperwork. You are a healthcare professional. You will be a healthcare professional. There are potential health risks that are always associated with working in healthcare. You may work with a patient that has an infectious disease. We will do everything you can in terms of protective equipment, but there is always a risk involved. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of that. We do recommend that you all have personal health care insurance. You are offered professional liability insurance through the college when you are working as a student. You are covered through the Bellin College liability insurance. But let's just say you work as a rehab aide. You get a weekend job as a rehab aide, and you're working there, and something happens and you get injured there. Because you are not working as a student at that time, you would not be covered by the Bellin College liability insurance. So again, just want to be clear about that. But if you are working as a student, if you are at a student activity, you are covered with the liability insurance. All right. We do require that many of your assignments are submitted using Microsoft products. You can, if you love Google, that's great, but you would need to copy and paste it in a Microsoft product. Microsoft Office Pro Plus is a suite that gives you Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams. There's probably even more. You are eligible to receive that whole package for free. And so the links to download that program are here. And what you would do, I think you put your Bellin username, your Bellin password, and then you're able to download all of that. So, and then Microsoft Teams, we're using that tonight, so you're already familiar with it. You already have that, so that's great. Registration, many of you are registered, not all of you, because I checked my class today. I think 21 people were registered, and we should have 29 in the class. Again, make sure that you do that. Registration, you received the instructions in the last email I sent you in June. You probably also received it from Russ Leary, who's our registrar. I apologize for any confusion. The bookstore actually opens this coming Monday. So Monday, July 25th is when the Bellin College bookstore is available. What you'll be able to do is go on and you'll be able to see all your classes and what books are either required recommended, or optional. So the required you really need to get. Recommended and optional, it's up to you. There are copies of all of those in our library, but those books are not to leave the library. So you can go in, you can grab the book, you forgot your book at home, or you have a report that you didn't get an optional book, but you just want to see what it says in there, you can go ahead and grab that. But that's what you'll need to do. You do not need to purchase your book from the bookstore either. You can get it however you wish. There is a 30% discount for one of your books that you are required for anatomy, Moore's Clinical Anatomy. You do have to get the discount, you have to buy from Lippincott, who is the publisher. And so that information will be available. And just like last time, I will send you this PowerPoint deck so you can go through and get this information if you want. There is a code that you have to put in when you order that book. So this isn't if you order from our bookstore or from like Amazon. It's only if you order directly through Lippincott. I don't know what the price is, but remember, Physio U is like an online textbook that we use for several classes throughout your curriculum, but you will be using it quite a bit in your first semester. So I would recommend going ahead and signing up for that now. It gives you access to a lot of videos, a lot of information that we use throughout. We have links in Canvas to Physio U videos, so you'll be able to click right on that. But that is a cost that you'll be required to get. So just consider that like a textbook. It's actually listed as a textbook. That's something that you can get. Remember, you're going to get, there's 2 orientations coming up. You're going to get an online student orientation class. That is going to be all the general Bell and College information. You're going to learn how to use Canvas if you're not familiar with it already, about some of the services. Some of this will be a little bit repeat, but it's good to know this stuff. That course should have opened already this week, and that is due on August 18th. It is through Canvas. So you should, if you log into Canvas, you should see a course right on there on your dashboard that says Online New Student Orientation. Start working through that.
I don't have that on my Canvas.
And who is that? Who's speaking?
Bailey Johnson.
Bailey. What I will do, Bailey, is I will follow up on that tomorrow and make sure and get that all figured out for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
I believe I don't have that as well.
Brighton?
I don't have it either.
Okay. So I'll look at everybody.
Nobody does.
Has anyone been able to access that? I see shaking heads. Okay. So sometimes they tell me a date that it's going to go live and then it doesn't actually happen. So I'll figure out what the deal is with the new student orientation. When I send out the follow-up to this meeting, that information will be in the email. So that's probably it then. I'm guessing they just haven't released it, even though they told me, because I like to work ahead. So I try to get this stuff all set along, like in advance, and sometimes dates change and they don't let me know. So just
different than the G-Pass, right, John?
What's that?
Is that different than the G-Pass?
Correct. G-Pass is that graduate pathway to academic success. That's that student success center. So, so just nodding. Have you all seen G-Pass on your dashboard? Okay, awesome. So again, start looking at that. It's a really great resource. So, but I will make sure when the student orientation, I'll make sure when it's published. On-site orientation, remember this, you're all required to come to campus on Thursday, August 24th. Try to arrive about 7:30. We will be providing breakfast and lunch for you. In the morning, we'll be at the Development Drive campus. In the afternoon, we will be at the Eaton Road campus. And then we're going to go to the YMCA. We talked about this last time. You can bring some workout clothes. You are going to sweat a little bit. We're going to have some fun. So hopefully the weather will turn out. It was really a fun time last time. And then remember, your APTA membership is required. I shared this information for you last time, so maybe you have already got this taken care of. And then remember, your first assignment, and it's for my class, is you need to complete this online class through the APTA. Once you are a member of the APTA, there is no additional fee for that class. The first week of my class, there will be an assignment where I will have you download your completion certificate for this class. And there's so many benefits to being an APT member, and we're going to talk a lot about that in my class, Professional Foundations. So it will be money worth, well worth the money. Be sure to join our Facebook group. Oh, I apologize. I actually had updated this, but you are the class of 26. So actually that I have to make sure I send you the right link. Some of you may have gotten an email about a brand new program we are using at Bellin College called the Bellin College Buzz. Actually, I think in the future we'll go away from Facebook and we will use this Bellin College Buzz. So you can access it via the internet. You can actually download the app on your phone. So if you have iOS or Android, you can search in the App Store for Bellin College Buzz, and you can go ahead and download that. You sign in with the same username and password for all of your other things. And it's like a Facebook, but it's on steroids. There's a lot of different things on there. There's a lot of information. And what we're going to try to do is cut down on some of the emails you get from various various groups and things. And you'll be able to just go to this Bellin College Buzz. There's also going to be like a specific group for DPT students. That's why I think we'll go away from that Facebook next time and really focus on this Buzz. And we're just starting to use it, and it'll be used more and more in the future. So the picture that you see there is a celebration that we had at Bellin College called Holy. And I can't remember the religion it is associated with. It's maybe a Muslim. I think it's a Muslim holiday that we celebrated. And everyone's wearing the white t-shirts and then they get all colorful. So. All right, make sure you're checking your email. So on the left, you see the Van Aston campus. That's where you will live most of the time. On the right is the Resch campus that you'll be there occasionally. All right. We're 8 minutes over. I'm blaming Leah because she talked quite a bit. But here is the contact information for us again. I'm just gonna, does anyone have any additional questions? Or Eric, do you have anything you would like to add?
No, nothing from me. But if anybody has any questions, definitely now's a good time.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are getting excited, preparing. I'm getting all your supplies in. Your shirts are already in, so we're starting to ramp up. I think you're going to benefit from being the second cohort. We've had to do a little bit of trial and error. We continue to learn, and so I think you're set up. I think you're going to have a really awesome experience, and we're very excited to meet with you and kick it off. Just remember, we hit the ground running, so be ready to go week one. But we're there to support you every step of the way. So. All right, with that, everyone have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful month here before we meet again. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And if any of the questions, I may send you an email if any of the information would be beneficial for everybody. So, but all right, everyone take care and have a great night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye now.
Oh, Eric, I want to say that I read your the research article you had done with the not the PT program but the science program. That was really cool with the opioids and the knees.
Which one was it?
The one with opioid use in TK knee.
Oh yeah, I probably posted that on Twitter or Facebook or something. Yeah, I'm trying to think of which students that was, but yeah, they've been doing. It's really neat actually how that group has been so focused on this like big picture kind of health systems based research now. So it'll be neat. Yeah, it'll really, you're going to see more and more pretty awesome stuff coming out of that program.
Yeah, that was really cool.